here we are in the top left-hand corner of Ohana. That sweet map intro. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Team Acer, fighting for his tournament life right now at IPL 5, give it up for this red Zerg. It is
Acer Nerchio.
There he is in his booth. Looking so calm, Dad. So calm. He never looks nervous. He is, though, sometimes. Guys, he's facing off in the bottom right against this gentleman. Last game pulling out the, honestly, he made it look easy. But did lose that Nexus, caught his opponent off guard.
Bionix Naniwa.
Also known as Nani, sometimes for short, which in Greek means nap. I don't think that's what he intended it to be.
Truly.
Just fun fact.
Truly.
Yeah.
Like as a
surely.
Truly.
It's Old English, Google.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's why, see, I've been hanging out
Wrong century, but it's okay.
It's like, oh, I'll meet you in the lift lobby.
Now you just sound like Jorsar.
That's because I throw out a British accent, man. All right, so off to a start here.
Yep, he is going for an in-base forge. Sorry, well, almost forges are in their base. Let me re-clarify that. He's going for an in the main base forge, like what we saw from Hero. Again, it's a very safe option on Ohana. The push distances are pretty small, so Naniwa does have the availability of a quick rush if he wants to move out before the 10-minute mark with Immortals. We do see Naniwa going for a really solid base play in game number 1, switching it up completely, and that's what is awesome about Naniwa's play. We've been seeing more diversity in Starcraft to premier players. Like, they're not just like a one-trick pony, you know? Like, players like Darmagu had to adapt from just multitasking and harassing. He had to learn how to turtle and play Infestor Broodlord. And when DRG did that, he's able to win a GSL championship. Yeah. That kind of stuff is really showing that players have multi-dimensions to them, and that's what's bringing out their success.
Yeah, it's really awesome seeing players get better and better at StarCraft. You know, initially it's realize that skill that makes you incredibly good, capitalize on that skill, but once you've really mastered it, you just move into other areas. So I really couldn't agree with you more, Dan. And about that forge in the main base, you know, it's just so awesome on Ohana because it's not a map. If you like down and to the left, there's not an easy way in. You can just put a couple stalkers behind the mineral line, easily see into Overlord, and then up and to the right, it is equally as impossible. So it's all but, it's just you can't see this forge with an Overlord. It's so difficult. But Nerchio will want to get back there to see some tech if he finds an opportunity.
That's right. You could try, but you would not be successful, as the old adage goes. Nerchio would try to scout with his Overlord. Now, he does see pretty much everything, the wall, the composition of it. He knows the forge is not in a good location for him to kind of poke at, or peek at, rather. Naniwa trying to confirm the third base. Nerchio is a player that's, well, he's really smart. I mean, that's why he can reactively make a lot of Zerg and say, well, okay, in this one-gate scenario, he shouldn't have a lot of units to protect his Nexus. Let me just make Zerglings. Don't trust what you don't see, especially in PvZ.
All right, so a Robo and a Gas going down. And, you know, we've mentioned this a few times. If you guys see this, it is one of the big tells of an Immortal Sentry all-in. So, I mean, it's not necessarily what we're going to see here, but it does prompt, okay, further scouting needed because you really want to make sure that, you know, whatever your reply is, whether you're, you know, you're DRG and you try to use some spine crawlers or, you know, if you just mass a ton of roaches, that you know what's coming from your opponent. Naniwa, well, it's definitely a possibility. You know, did he make a Stalker to start, actually? He did.
Yeah, Stalker Sentry. Right, and he's adding a couple more gateways. So he does have the availability of making also a Warp Prism. Warp Prism play can be very powerful on Ohana as well. Nerchio is just going out very systematically. Layer at the 7-minute mark as well as an Evo Chamber. So, I mean, Nerchio is doing this very calmly, just like you were pointing out at the beginning of the map. He's not really messing up anything in the build order, but, I mean, or he's not changing anything in the build order, so he's not like he's deviating far from the plan, saying, I'm just going to do my thing. 13 drones coming out, so I mean, Naniwa is the one that's going to have to make a play. He is getting one Immortal out of his robotics facility and a second one. So yeah, I mean, this is a great map for Immortal push, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Naniwa push it.
I wouldn't either. It looks like it's going to be a nice late one if he does go for it. The Twilight Council is definitely a possibility here as well, but you would have expected it by now. Here's the thing. He's pumping out all these Immortals. His Warp Gate is finished, but he doesn't I mean, I really feel like this is going to be an expand build.
Oh yeah, I mean he's up to 5 gates now.
Now,
So.
yeah, he just started +1. And that's the thing, so +1 just again, he just dropped 2 more gates.
Yeah, 5 gates in a robo does usually mean that you can't really scale that much production, so you're going more for expand, warp in a lot of sentries, you have excess minerals, and expand.
Well, I was really just, I mean, concerned about this +1, but yeah, now he's dropping down even more gateways. So this is going to be an Immortal Sentry play. It's just a very, very late one.
Well, I mean, the core of it is the Immortals. You know, as long as you can kind of stagger the production, that's not too bad. I mean, Naniwa went for front-loaded sentries, so he's got more energy per se. He didn't necessarily have to bank so much, and the +1 will come over time because Immortal Sentry doesn't happen overnight. So you know, you have some time to play with there. Naniwa moving out with the units, gonna have his Warp Prism join up later. You take a posture normally by the 4th base of Zerg and move down the ramp, utilizing that choke. Naniwa's in the middle of the map. No Warp Prism is there, but he has to drop emergency force fields, and that's exactly what Nerchio wants.
Yes, it is, Dan. Forcing out those force fields is so important versus this particular build. Now we've got an Observer coming out alongside this, so he's going to be prepared for any Burrow Flip. He's not going to be encountering it. It looks like Spine Crawlers are going to be how Nerchio decides to try to deal with this. He's putting down 4 of them, right in between his 3rd and his natural expansion. Going to be hard to gauge.
Nice snipe. Double pylons caught here by Nerchio. Now that gives Naniwa the go-ahead to run straight for it. And Nerchio's not protecting his Spine Crawler just yet, but a big flank. And Nerchio is trying to bait out as much force field as possible while committing to killing off some of the sentries. But a big warp in from Naniwa. Nerchio would love it if his Infestors can come out in time, because he does have Pathogen Glands finishing up. But does he have the time? Nerchio is running out of space as well. Naniwa's moving up the ramp.
Oh, it's all going to come down to these fungal growths in a second, Dan. Here are the Infestors about to spawn. No, there's not any.
From where? From where, though?
The 3rd and the main base. Though 2 in the main, we've got 5 at the 3rd that are going to be making their way up right now. But actually, Naniwa's going to see these. He's warping in Zealots on the high ground in order to deal with them, and this just looks too powerful right now.
Wow.
Naniwa.
Look at this. Nerchio sees that the units are split up, so instead of fungaling, he drops Infested Terrans. That's a great response, but there's so many units from Naniwa, and I mean, Nerchio doesn't really have that great of economy. GG, well played. And Naniwa advances. Nerchio has lost in the losers bracket.
Naniwa giving an incredible showing, taking down Nerchio after being out in game 1. What a comeback from our Swedish Protoss. And Nerchio, guys, is now out of the tournament.
Unbelievable. I mean, when you look at even just the power rankings that Team Liquid's posting, they're talking just how great it is just to be listed higher up. Nerchio, one of the best foreigners to be ranked. In fact, we did, you know, Mr. Bear and I actually ran a bunch of like our own tests on like what we grade onto tournament performance, and Nerchio is one of the best performing foreigners, and we invite him to our tournament, and he said no because he wanted to, you know, focus on staying at home. But that's the caliber of player he is. Like, this is unreal that they have to meet this early on. Man, I mean, it's still silly to say, you know, like, oh, in IPL, I got to round 3 of losers, but you had to go through some of the toughest competition in the world in order to get there.
I mean, it's a testament to what we're looking at here. The fact that Nerchio was just knocked out in losers round 2, I can't believe it. So, all right, guys, one of the first casualties here at IPL 5. Who would have guessed it would be Nerchio? Not me, man. Not me at all. But you know, I was feeling it for Naniwa. So hopefully he's going to keep making a great run through this tournament.
Is this match really going to happen again? Wow, we have Vortex versus Luciferon coming up. The brothers, it seems like they only can knock each other out.
Yeah.
It just seems